University, where you take adult shit and get it into kid-sized pieces. My name is Miss A, and today I'll be sharing with you the type of people you shouldn't date. With that being said, let's get started, shall we? So, these are in no particular order, but I figured I'd start with the most obvious, and that is that you shouldn't consider dating flakes. And the obvious reason is because they're flakes, because they can't keep a date. And who wants to invest time, possibly preparation for a date, energy as is, and possible excitement, emotions that is, for someone who's going to flake out on you whenever they feel like it? Don't date them. And don't even consider anyone who would consider ghosting you. That is, no call, no show. Just don't do it. It's a waste of time, and you definitely deserve better. The next one is kind of a variation of a flake, or I would say they're somewhere between a ghost and a flake. And those are the hot and colds. The hot and colds will, leave your head spinning because you don't know if you're coming or going in terms of, are you building to something great or are you just casually dating? They give you the sense of excitement and interest 1 minute, and then they don't text, they don't call, but they still expect you to be excited about them as though you just had your date like a day or two ago. And it could be like a week and a half to 2 weeks to almost a month. And while people do get busy and life is complicated, especially if you're, on your business as an adult, it doesn't forego the responsibility that one should have or take on in being accountable to making sure that the person that they're interested in knows that they're interested in them. So don't waste your time with the hot and colds, because just like the flakes, your time and energy and emotions get wasted. You don't know if they're as interested in you as you are in them. And who wants that, really? I mean, as adults, we just really don't have time to be keeping people in our lives or in our contacts in our phone who don't give us the appropriate attention that we deserve. So, nix the hot and colds. The next type of people that you shouldn't consider dating are kind of hard to peg off the bat. And that's because not everybody is very truthful or even really know what they want when they start out dating. But if you are clear about who you are and what you want in terms of your dating situation, it will be very apparent to you based off of your interactions with a person if they have similar ones, if they don't already state what they really want. So don't waste your time with people who have different dating goals than you. It's a waste of time if you're looking for someone for a long-term possible marriage consideration and they're looking for Mr. or Miss Hot and Now. Hot and Nows and long-term potential romance very rarely become aligned to one another. One either drags the person who wants marriage into a hot and now situation, which is basically a booty call, and then that person gets invested feelings and emotions because they think that the time that they're spending with that person, be it dating and intimacy, is building to something. And they might even fool themselves believing that that is really happening. And of course, somebody who may, be looking for the hot and now, the booty call, is going to see the person who wants marriage as an issue in a long-term space because they can't continue having their cake and eating it too. Eventually, something's going to give. Either they're going to have to commit to the idea that they want long-term and possible marriage as a consideration, or they're going to have to let the person go. And in this day and age, with STDs and just emotional baggage and whatnot, you really don't want to be playing with fire if you're looking for long-term marriage, and you really don't want to be wasting someone's time if you're looking for the booty call. So let's be adults and stay in our lane when it comes to our dating goals. The next kind of person I'm going to tell you not to date is a little bit more complex than any of the others that I've mentioned prior to this one. And that is someone who doesn't share your same faith and or moral standards or values, when it comes to life. And it's a lot more complex than pegging someone for not having the same dating goal, because it's something that takes time to understand, usually. People don't have deep conversations, not even a month or a month and a half into dating. So all I can say is watch how someone lives their life. Pay attention to what they say and how they express themselves. And if they say something that doesn't align to your spirit, begin to ask them more questions. Do a follow-up, basically. You want to know these things because you don't want to be emotionally tied to somebody 3 months down the line and realize that you are living in two different dimensions of understanding of life. And this is, like I said, really hard. So the moment you realize it, it's best to just nix it and, just do cold turkey. Don't try to say, well, this will get better, or I can change their mind, or I'll just live with it. Because in the long term, the moment you get the big no in your spirit, it's usually a good time to just say, this is not for me, and walk away. So I wish you the best in understanding when that happens, but if you keep your eyes peeled, you'll be sure to know when it does. The next type of person is more or less for the ladies to delete ASAP from their phones. And that is Mr. Dutchman. Mr. Dutchman says, hey, I think you're lovely, you're beautiful, you're sexy, I want to go out with you. He takes you out, and then when the check comes, he's looking at you like, where's your half? I'm sorry. If you take me out, if I've agreed to spend time with you, you're paying for the date. And you can call me old-fashioned, you can say whatever you want. You can be a raging femme ready to burn your bra. I would say go right ahead. But if I'm going out on a date, I expect a man to pay. And if I ask a man out on a date, I expect him to offer to pay. Now it's up to me whether I want to pay, but I do expect that. And people might say, well, that's not really right. I don't care. There's something to be said about old-fashioned values, right? The world may be gnawing at the pillars of what's left of old standards, but those things have kept society moving forward. Now, not all of it, but of course when it comes to dating, the landscape has changed, but some of the pillars that of like family units and things like that, they stand to hold what we have as a society today. And I feel like something about a man being able to provide right up front, no excuses, no asking me for change, is very appealing. And I think that if a man is going to ask me out for a date, he should be willing to take me to a place he's willing to pay for. It's unbecoming, I think, of a man who doesn't want to take care of a woman, or at least offer to take care of a woman financially in a dating situation. So call it what you may, but if a man tells me I need to pay my half, and believe me, I have been surprised, and I'm only looking at him as a friend. And that's that. So do what you feel, ladies, I guess, when it comes to dating. But if you want a man who I think has some real intent, he will show up when it comes to the time for that check to be paid. He should show up as the man and say, you know what, I got this. That's just how I feel. Don't go Dutch. The next type of person is the Jekyll and Hydes. They are cool and awesome to hang out with, but when they say drink too much, they become a whole nother person. I say nix it. Don't bother, because what you're seeing is somebody that obviously either doesn't know their limit, isn't in control, and when someone isn't in control or can't remember what they are doing, they're a liability. And while it's fun, quote unquote, maybe at the beginning, you have to think, do I want this in the long term? Adulting is about figuring out who should belong in your space and who doesn't. And it's very clear that when someone can't control themselves or becomes a different person under the influence of, let's say, alcohol, let alone marijuana, but if someone's personality changes based off of what they're doing and they can't recognize it and they don't know their limit, then it's not worth getting into a real dating situation with them, because you'll always be playing the babysitter. And time is of the essence. People aren't trying to play babysitters to another adult. Don't date a Jekyll and Hyde. Next kind of person you should avoid dating is someone who doesn't take core interest value in you. Do they use their skills, their complementary skills in life, or follow up in questioning or taking interest in listening to you as a person? If you find that it's always like one-sided, it's probably best to nix this person ASAP, because outside of telling them, you don't want to have to be the one that teaches them about taking interest in you. Now, there's a learning curve, right? But if you say something over and over to somebody and they are willfully neglecting something that is important to you, it's probably best to just say goodbye. Again, it's kind of hard to peg down the moment that you really will understand if it's a willful neglect or if it's just, a learning curve in terms of dating you. But it will eventually become clear. And this core interest does not include sexual contact. The core interest is you as a person. How do they enlighten your world? And that can be in many different dimensions. But if they don't enlighten your world and they're not even interested in taking a peek into it, the core idea is that at some time or another, you'll understand whether or not a person is truly invested in who you are. And hopefully, at least if they can't contribute, they're at least interested in letting you, share with them what is important to you. And if they're not, you know what to do. Cut them out of your life. Now, the next kind of person you shouldn't date is similar or somewhat similar to the one I just mentioned. But this one is in a different dynamic, deals with a different dynamic than taking interest in you as a person. But it goes along with it, I should say. When you love someone or you are in life with somebody, I should say, because most people don't know if they're in love until sometime down the line. Some people say it happens instantly, and I believe in both. But when you're interested in someone, and if you care about somebody, not only do you want to care about the things that make them tick in some kind of capacity, but you also want to show them love in a way that they can feel it and appreciate it. I don't know who made up love languages, so I'll leave their name here. But I think it's so smart. I think that there is a couple of them, right? And we all kind of display some variation of how we feel about them. In other words, there's a hierarchy to our love language. So, we can appreciate a gift, but that's not it might not be your first love language, You might love physical touch as an expression of love language, or time spent together. Whatever it is, consider the fact that you have to speak the same language to understand one another. And so too, does that apply to your love language so that people feel heard, appreciated, and cared for and loved, most importantly. So learn your love language, learn the other person's love language, and see if the person is reflecting or willing to reflect the love language you need. And if they're not, it might be, if you're not deeply invested and they aren't really real potentials, it might be time to kind of like say, you know what, this isn't for me. The last person you should not date is the Pinocchio. Now this could be male or female. The Pinocchio will lie for lying's sake, will lie to get out of uncomfortable situations, all to save their skin. And sometimes this person lies by omission of the truth. Now, the common denominator of all this is that they're doing this for themselves. And you have to understand on what level was a lie committed on or for, and then how big is that lie? And is it the kind of thing that could alter a decision that is a lifelong decision, such as marriage? So in that, I'll say that determining the kind of lie and why they lied and what they lied about all have their own weight to a situation. But if you find that this person is, if the undercurrent factor is that they have no remorse, don't want to ever confess, or still misplace blame, or want to divvy out blame, so of their actions, of the lie, then those things also weigh. In whatever case it is, be mindful to pay attention and to really look out for the red flags. Keep your eyes open for the Pinocchios. Well, that's it for today. Just a couple of types that you shouldn't consider dating. Thank you for attending class. Go ahead and do your homework by subscribing to this channel, commenting, and thumbs up at this video. My name is Miss A, and until next time, remember, you must be this tall to pay bills.